Hello everyone, and welcome to my desperate attempt to make this very neglected doggo shine. A MirageGaogamon has the unfortunate distinction of being an amazing card from an absolutely mediocre archetype. To say that it's been confined to the bulk boxes does not even begin to describe how little faith people have in this card. But I'm here to give this card a shot, and prove that with the right engine, you can not only make it work, you can win with it. And oddly enough, I found that MirageGaogamon works really well as the top end for Blue Flare, of all things. Now, what actually makes MirageGaogamon such an awesome card? Well, on Digivolution, it can either bounce a level 5 or lower Digimon to the opponent's hand, or failing that, bounce the top card of their security to their hand. So, board control, or a really odd way to remove security without triggering it. So far, so good. But the effect that really sold me on this card was the all turns effect. All turns, once per turn, when an effect adds a card to your opponent's hand, gain 1 memory for every 4 cards in their hand. So basically, it lets you profit off of bounce effects, and it taxes your opponent's search and draw effects. Yes, this card is awesome. Altogether, you can bounce a threat or a security card on Digivolution, cheapen said Digivolution, and throttle your opponent's ability to gain card advantage. And since damn near every decent archetype has an egg or rookie that draws cards, well, you can see how much this doggo can profit. Getting it into play is the only issue. But Blue Flare checks a lot of boxes as an engine since it's a control-oriented deck with fantastic tempo, and the ability to play down level 5s for cheap. Starting off with the eggs, we run the only other decent card from MirageGaogamon's archetype, Wanyamon. It lets you draw 1 when attacking as long as you have a blue tamer in play, and that's easy enough since Blue Flare relies on its tamer Kiriha, and frequently makes use of other blue tamers for support. Our first level 3 is Gaussmon, which is a little blue missile that chips security and plays a level 4 Blue Flare on deletion. This is the rookie you want to see turn 1 in raising every time, without fail. BT11 gave us a new Blue Flare rookie in Drakomon. If you play a Blue Flare Digimon while this is in play, you can draw a card, and as an inheritable, it nets you a memory for meeting that same condition. It's decent enough, but really this is here to serve as another Blue Flare name and target for your search cards. And the last 2 rookies here are Syakomon and Madoki Betamon. I like my Floodgates, and currently I run a 3-1 split of them because Black War Greymon X and Bloom Lord, 2 very bad matchups for this deck, have potent effects to reduce their Digivolution costs. And of course, sticking one of these alongside MirageGaogamon can really restrict the opponent's plays. The level 4 lineup is bog standard Blue Flare. Greymon is a searcher on play, Male Bergermon can play Kiriha for free, and Decardramon draws cards. They all save on deletion, making them great for doing some chip damage, and the first 2 can recover your level 5s from the trash under certain conditions, which adds some nice recursion to the deck. Just note that I am running a slightly lower Decardramon count than usual, since the level 5 lineup does lean into the newer support. Speaking of level 5s, this wouldn't be a Blue Flare profile without the absolute abomination that is Metal Greymon. Ugly as this thing is, it does make for a potent boss monster in its own right. It can digicross with Greymon and Male Bergermon, essentially becoming a 3-cost ultimate. On play, Metal Greymon will freeze up to 3 of your opponent's Digimon with equal or fewer Digivolution sources to it, which is amazing. And if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, it can wreak havoc with the inheritables it gets from its Digicross materials. Greymon lets it swing twice, and Male Bergermon allows you to freeze a target on the swing. This card punishes wide boards, and it absolutely shreds the opponent's security. And, with the release of BT11, it got a shiny new suit of armor. Metal Greymon plus Cyber Launcher is another horror of visual design, but it is a powerful card. You digicross into it with Metal Greymon and Cyberdramon, but the card actually counts as both, so you can use other copies of it for its own digicross. It also has Armor Purge, which makes it hard to kill, especially if you have multiples of it within the same stack. And when you do digicross into it, you can tuck a Blue Flare Digimon into the sources and then either spin a level 3 or a level 4 to the bottom of the deck depending on what's in your stack. And yes, I'm still running a one of DOGGO because it can freeze anything if you have a DOGGO in the sources, and at a beefy 10,000 DP, it can do quite a bit of damage itself. And hey, it does have armor purge, so it'll be hard enough for the opponent to remove. Our level 6 lineup is quite tight. You've already met MirageGaogamon, so let me introduce you to the actual Blue Flare boss monster from BT11, Greymon. It digivolves for 2 on a Metal Greymon, which is ludicrous, and it unsuspends on Digivolution, so it can be a mini Omnimon for game at times. And if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, you can gain 2 memory, which is really nice for extending your plays. This thing also saves on deletion and will actually fetch back and save Greymon and Male Bergermon from the trash if you have Kiriha in play, which again is fantastic recursion. And then I tech in 1 copy of Omnimon X, since this deck does lack Digimon-based tools for removing anything over level 5, and because it pairs well with MirageGaogamon to just clean up the opponent's security. And hey, this is a Blue Flare deck above all else, so of course I'm running the full set of Kiriha. It's your memory setter, it lets you digicross with save sources, and it can be cheated out so easily that you'll rarely ever slam it down for 4. I'm also running 2 copies of Sora and Joe because Source Strip is always nice, and it does discourage the opponent from just slapping down searchers thanks to the memory gain it provides. You won't be surprised to find a full 4 copies of Blazing Memory Boost since it's a totally broken card. It digs 6 deep, grabs 2 targets, and potentially plays a Tamer for free. All for just 5 memory. It's a little too good, and it's even better now that you have more targets for it out of BT11. Plasma Decadra Launcher is Blue Flare's low-rent copy of Cocytus Breath, but it can at least make itself cheaper and doubly so, thanks to MirageGaogamon's All Turns effect. I do run this over Cocytus Breath because the deck can basically handle anything level 5 and below, so the level 6 and above limit on the card doesn't bother me too much. Forbidden Trident is here to remove floodgates like Psychmon and Chikurimon, and you can gain memory back off of it thanks to the Doggo's effect, and the DP boost is always nice for surviving checks with your lower end stuff, or giving MirageGaogamon the ability to swing over bigger boss monsters. And finally, I run 1 Ice Wall because sometimes you need to stall, and as you've probably noticed, the deck is less focused on stunning, so there will be times when your opponent can swarm the board and rush in. I particularly like this card in the Crossheart matchup to really limit the opponent's aggro, or, it's always just good for choking people to 1, because you can be a jerk like that sometimes. And that's the deck in a nutshell. It's pretty different from your standard Blue Flare deck, but that's okay. The deck and the engine is not a one-trick pony. I do like that the opponent will often try to play around freeze effects by limiting their bodies in play, only for you to then bounce or spin those bodies away. So basically, you can play a lot of control-based mind games with the opponent, and you can also just be really aggressive and punish them when they do forget that 2 bodies on board spells doom. And really, it's just so nice to drop a level 5 out of nowhere and go into a level 6 immediately after. Like, that is cracked. Looking ahead to EX4, Blue Flare decks are making great use out of Kazuhamon as their top end, which allows for some really cool Kaiser Nail shenanigans. That's kind of what inspired me here, and I think it does prove that Blue Flare as an engine has a lot of potential if you match it with the right mega. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. If you have any questions or want to suggest tweaks to the list, please leave those in the comments below. And hey, subscribe if you haven't already. 90% of my frequent viewers aren't subbed, and if you're one of them, just join the club. We have fun here. And with that, I will catch you all in the next one. And until then, take it easy.